Okay, so we're now moving into the next item. Sorry, it's item number 6 on your agenda there. It's equality for all customers of the Department of Social Protection, transgender recognition. I'd like to welcome the Transgender Equality Network Ireland, or TENI, to our meeting today to discuss with us their experience of equality of treatment at the Department of Social Protection.
Okay. Hi, my name is Victoria Mullen. I have my own tax consultancy practice in Tala, and I'm trans, and I'm not insane, okay? I am proud to be Irish. As a nation, we have come a very long way from the days of the comely maidens dancing at the crossroads. Single mums no longer need die alone in shame or be squirreled away in a laundry as punishment for their so-called sins. We have seen the introduction of equal rights for women, the legalisation of contraception, divorce, and even homosexuality. Yes, we have achieved much, and many of us look back in amazement at how backwards we were not so very long ago. But those of you who missed those good old days of inequality for all, you can take some comfort. You still have the transgendered community to play with. For those of you who don't miss those days, we need your help now. Because it appears that it is still okay to discriminate against us, to ignore our rights, to ridicule us with jokes and sick advertisements, and it now seems to even demand an end to our marriages. Less than 20 years ago, divorce was still illegal in Ireland, but today I and people like me face the possibility of being forced to divorce to access our right of legal recognition. The legislation currently being prepared is based on the report of the Gender Recognition Advisory Group. I want you to imagine the furore that would erupt if a group was formed by the government to report on women's rights, and then the government went only on to appoint men onto that group. I think we'd all be shocked. Yet, no member of the GRAG was transgendered or even experienced in transgendered issues, and our absence is evident. Among many of its ill-thought-out recommendations, their report clearly states that people in an existing valid marriage should be excluded. They demand that we must first divorce our husbands and wives before the state would recognise who we actually are. This is not some nightmare scenario from the Nazi 1930s, but might be our life in Ireland in the 21st century. Legal recognition should not be contingent on the destruction of our marriages and our families. We remain the last of the 27 EU nations which still does not allow any kind of gender recognition for transgendered people. Without such recognition, difficulties can arise for us in our jobs, pensions, insurance, and foreign travel. Even our right to participate in most sporting activities may be prohibited. If the proposed legislation is enacted, I may be prevented from even playing golf. Now, if that isn't a horrific state of affairs, I don't know what is. Seriously though, marriages where one spouse is transgendered are lucky to survive. Yet, some do. In my own case, we were not quite as fortunate. Yet, while my wife and I live apart, we remain committed to our children, and we work daily together in our family business. Neither of us wishes to seek a legal separation, let alone a divorce. I find it deeply offensive that I should be presented with such a choice. And if I did choose legal recognition over my wife, what does she get in return for the ending of her marriage? How have her rights been affected by the introduction of such perverse legislation? Government will most likely argue that it has an obligation under Article 41 of our Constitution to defend and protect the family. We agree. They may also argue that this involves the prohibition of same-sex marriages. We don't agree with that. But in any event, we did not contract same-sex marriages. My marriage is a fully valid marriage under Irish law, as at the time of getting married, my wife and I were physically and legally opposite genders. We have 3 fantastic children, but due to a worsening of my medical condition over the years and acting on medical advice, I underwent full gender reassignment surgery. I am now physically female, whether my country chooses to recognise this as a fact or not. So I ask you, what of my family? Does government have no obligations to us? Is my family not also entitled to the full protection of the Irish Constitution? Why should anyone be forced to choose between family and basic human rights? We put forth that the requirement to divorce is itself unconstitutional, as the state then fails to meet its own obligations by making such a demand of a citizen. Indeed, divorce may not even be possible in our circumstances, as we may be unable to satisfy the courts that there has been an irreconcilable breakdown of our marriages, which is a key requirement under Irish law for a divorce. And if we cannot qualify for divorce, then we cannot access our right of legal recognition. Are we not then back to where Lydia Foy began all those years ago, when with the state's continued refusal to grant us gender recognition, meaning that it remains in contravention of the European Convention on Human Rights? This is then all a complete waste of your own time and mine. In times of deep economic hardship, the chance for this government to do something good at no cost is an opportunity that should be seized. At a time when Ireland has just been elected to the UN Human Rights Council, leading Europe in progressive gender recognition legislation is surely an easy win. If government chooses to listen to our voices and see the inhumanity inherent in forced divorce in order for us to achieve gender recognition, there is a very real opportunity to put Ireland at the forefront of progressive legislation which empowers all of its citizens. We pray that Ireland will follow the recent lead of Argentina and introduce modern, fair-minded and equality-driven legislation which we as a nation can be proud of. We and our families live in hope. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
It's non-legalistic. I live in the real world. I have my tax practice. I meet my clients on a daily basis. Half of them that were with me when I transitioned know obviously my history. The other half who've come to me since don't. So I live a normal life every day. And whenever this comes up, people don't care. It's the politicians, I'm not saying you guys yourselves, that are miles behind people. Most people don't give a hoot. They have enough problems. This afternoon's budget is an example. They just live and let live. So please help us. Okay, thank you.
All right. Anything outstanding? No? Okay. Well, I'm going to wrap up the meeting. First of all, I'd like to thank you for your presentation, and it is very informative for us because we will be dealing with the legislation hopefully at some stage soon. And I want to thank you as well for taking the questions. And what we will do is we'll send your copy of your presentation to the Minister and details of the transcript of the discussion, that took place here today, and if we get any response from her, which provides an update, we'll pass that on to you as well. So that's it. The meeting is now adjourned until Wednesday, 12th. Yeah, sure.
The suggestion that was made as regards the legislation coming up, that we could link back in with you when that's happening, that process, and get agreed here or whatever.
We could have a meeting just beforehand or something like that. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, that's great. The meeting is now adjourned until Wednesday, the 12th of December 2012. Okay, thank you.